Hello, this is Ted from Dementia Talks and Wandering Light. Today I'd like to talk about a couple of subjects that are in connection with dementia that I don't think most people consider. And they're elements of dementia, but they're also elements of other health issues that people can have. They do affect us mentally, but they're not necessarily connected with dementia, but they certainly do play out a role with dementia. And that is anxiety and depression. First of all, a lot of these things have in common is in dementia, certainly depression can be a significant challenge given the change in your mental ability, the change in the way you think, the way you interact with others. And it's not unusual for depression to come along with dementia. But let's face it, depression affects a huge number of people in America and around the world. So it is a mental challenge and problem, but it isn't necessarily just because you have depression doesn't mean you have dementia. But having dementia, there's a good chance you're going to have depression. The other part that's true, and they kind of go hand in hand, is anxiety. The challenge with dementia and anxiety is that when you struggle processing information, when you struggle interacting with people, when you struggle with communications, that naturally brings on anxiety. Certainly people who don't have dementia can have anxiety for lots of reasons, but it's very normal for it to come along with dementia. And it doesn't matter which dementia, whether it's Lewy body or Alzheimer's or whatever. You have to look at what the main cause is, and the cause is this change in the way we process information, way we think, etc. The challenge with either of these two is many times our expectation. As you enter into any kind of changing environment, be it because you have dementia or don't have dementia, our expectations can get out of line with our reality, for lack of better words. And so if your expectation is that you can normally do certain things and all of a sudden that you can't do those, it can lead into one, depression, and it can lead into anxiety. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't happen for other people, but it certainly happens for people with dementia because of the change in their environment. In the way that they think, which, let's face it, there's a saying, the person who you will talk to the most in your life is yourself. And when those things are recognized, changing in yourself, it creates anxiety, and also once you come to the realization that it's part of you now, it can easily create depression. The challenge is to see these changes not as obstacles to your path, but in fact that your path includes these challenges, right? And so I think all of us think, if I need to be able to do X, Y, and Z, or I need to go from A to Z, and we'd like to have a straight line. But the truth is, I don't know anyone who's ever had a straight line in terms of what they plan and what they think is going to happen as compared to what actually does happen. there are always obstacles that come in the way, and how well you deal with them is generally what truly defines you. But when dementia enters the equation, your ability to deal with those obstacles and maneuver around them or make adjustments becomes that much harder because your brain isn't working the way it used to work. Most people, though, when they find that they have depression or anxiety, quite frankly, are very challenged with their mental state because it does create this realization that you're not necessarily 100% in control of your mental faculties, right? And for many people, that's very, very scary. Um, but let's face it, when it's brought on by external factors, um, that doesn't mean that you're not still in control, right? You still can maneuver as you have around the obstacles in your life and get to where you're going. It may be harder, but it's still possible. The good news in these days is there are also medications to help you deal with it, which is not unusual. So for those people who hate to take pills or don't want to take pills or medications, which would you choose to have? Would you rather not take a pill and deal with depression and anxiety unnecessarily, or take a pill and find out that you can still control your mental faculties and you can still maneuver around the obstacles that come into your life? I personally would choose the latter. I'm grateful that we live in a day and age where that's possible, because let's face it, it wasn't that long ago that unfortunately the pills that people took were really narcotics and other things, and not medication that could actually help you deal day to day with both depression and or anxiety. So when you're talking to someone that has depression, um, be alert for these signs. Be alert for a person that if they're depressed, be alert for them being anxious with even meeting with you or the environment that they're in. Those things are normal, and hopefully they're seeking the help that will get them through these. But that's not their choice, and they haven't brought that on to themselves, right? So, nor has anybody else who is suffering from depression or anxiety. I don't mean to imply that, but depression seems to always bring, or excuse me, that um, it always seems to come with the disease of whether it's Lewy body dementia or it's Alzheimer's or what have you. And in the beginning, especially on early onset, when you're trying to come to grips with it, this is really a normal obstacle that everyone faces. I hope that's helpful. Hope it helps people that are dealing with an early onset diagnosis. You're lucky that you've got that early diagnosis. You can make adjustments to your life. You can get the proper medication. You can reduce the impact of dementia, all because you caught it early. But don't expect that these things won't come up. So this is Ted. I'm hoping that this is helpful, and we'll catch you again at another time. Please, if you want more information, you can go to Wandering Light. We'll have connections to other sites that can give you more information on both depression and anxiety. And we hope this was an informative talk. So have a great day. Goodbye.